Hello, cyclocross friends, and welcome to Little Lake Park in Midland, Ontario for the 2019 Pan Ameircan Championships. We are here at the men's elite race, and this is what we're going to be dealing with. This is our course at the Little Lake venue. The Silver Goose course was Saturday. This is Sunday. It's in 4 sectors, which we'll talk about throughout the race, but really you got a swoopy section over to the left. You got more of a laid out power section on the right, and then you got the beach down below. But we'll get to all of that. We are already lined up here at the start. We got our favorites. Stephen Hyde, Jamie Driscoll, Kerry Werner's there. I see Curtis White, Michael Vandenham, all lined up and ready to go. If we check out the tires real quick, mud tires for everyone. It's slippy out there. It was snowing and raining the day before, and it continued into the afternoon as we started this race. And here we are at the start. Here they go off down the starting line, and we are going to catch up right away with them on the run-up. This is about a minute into the course. We're catching up a little late with them. We got the run-up. We have Kerry Werner already on the lead. We can see Stephen Hyde there. He's about 10 spots down even at the beginning. It looked like he had a little bit of an issue in the starting grid. Off to a tough start for Hyde, but he's going to be in there. Lance Hayden having a little fun there, out early, leading the way, coming around to the first turns onto the beach section. This is a big power section. The sand on the beach is not fluffy, it's not dry, it's wet and it's compressed, so it's just all out power as they head down there. It breaks it up with a little bit of those chicanes, but then it's straight up towards pit 2. And once they come through pit 2, then they're going to be coming to these swoopy areas. We're getting through these quick as we go through the laps. I think we're going to see more coverage of each of these sections, but here we are on these off-camber chicanes back and forth. We're seeing that all of the riders are dismounting. Yesterday in the Silver Goose race, it was a lot more on the bike, but here with slippier conditions, we were getting off the bikes a lot more. Curtis White now out in the lead. Kerry Werner in second place. Behind him, that looks like Grant Elwood in third place, followed by Brandon Fix in fourth and Cody Kaiser in fifth. As we see our riders for the first time again through the second half of the chicane section. So if we looked at that course map, this was on the far left of that map, sort of on the upper section. They're going to go through here, and then we have this big feature. We're going to miss out on one of them, I believe, on this first lap, but they go through this section and they come to 3 staircases. Right now we are looking at the second of 3 staircases. So they already went through an identical one that looks just like this. When they get to the top of this, they are going to run for about 5 seconds, and then they're going to go up another set of staircase. Looks identical. They'll swoop across the top of that, and then we have our sketchiest section on here. This is the drop. It looks flattened out here on the video, but believe me, it's much steeper than it looks. It's much more dangerous. They're going to be tripoding down here. If you look on your right side, their left side, right there, that hay bale that sticks out, that can be an issue. That has caused problems all day. You can see that the medical staff is actually just stationed there right on the other side of that hay bale. They are ready, and they've had a lot of work to do today. We're coming across the start line, looking at the course from up above. They're finishing. This is the tarmac that they come down for the finish. They're going to take a big left-hand swooping ride as we see Curtis White leading the way, Kerry Werner in second place, Elwood still in third, and Fix in fourth, and then Cody Kaiser in fifth. That seems to be your lead group as they come through this really greasy section that's going to take them to pit 1. Once they get to pit 1, it straightens out, but these little turns are tough, and this is where tires matter. We were seeing some tires that were really hooking up in this section. Others were getting really loose. Curtis White leading the way. He wants to be first through those sections to make sure he has the clean line. Kerry Werner right on his wheel. White is the power man. He wants to just set down the tempo and go from the start, and that seems to be the plan here as they go through pit 1. White actually going in there to take a bike. We can see the change there. That puts Werner now in the lead. Werner leading it. We got Elwood in second. Brandon Fix, Curtis White slots back into fourth place, and Cody Kaiser still on there in fifth. This is another long section. This is a big transitional section back up to, this is on your map, this is going to be your top right section of the course. And these are just these sort of more wider turns and sort of sloping turns. There really isn't anything dangerous in this section. It is also a section that didn't seem earlier in the day with our other Pan Am races where anything really shook out. There was one track pretty much down the middle of this, and you're seeing, as you're seeing here from above, everybody was lined up. It was all just single file through this section, no real action, and we're not really expecting anything here. This is not where the moves were taking place. But we wanted to get a good look of this above just so you can see the course coming down that fast section. Is sped up a little bit through here, and this is it. This is our run up. This is what we saw already on the first lap. Now second time through, Kerry Werner, Elwood, Fix seem to have a little bit of a gap. White right there, Kaiser there as well. Marc-Andre Fortier having a good ride in 6th place. As we come to our second group, this looks like Lance Hayden leading the way. You're a Canadian champion, Vandenham in there. Jamie Driscoll slotting in about 10th or 11th spot, and then the last one was Drew Dillman in that group. It came through the run-up, down through that swoopy section again. Again, nothing really happening there. A lot of just sort of that single track down the middle, and now we're back down to the beach. We got this one tricky U-turn that starts the beach section, and then a long straight before we get to our chicanes. Looks like Werner still leading the way. Excuse me, White leading the way. Werner in second, Elwood, Fix, Kaiser, and Marc-Andre Fortier, the last man in that early lead group. Coming around this turn, these were the chicanes, and now you're on the sand. Little grassy section before it. They do that sandy U-turn back onto the grass and then back onto the sand again. This is this last right turn here. This can be a little tricky, and this is going into pit 2. Seeing a lot of changes on pit 2. It seemed like pit 2 was more bike changes than pit 1. Pit 1, if you needed it. Pit 2 was more of a routine change once the bikes were getting muddier during races. Again, another big power section. This is the transition section that we were talking about, and we're going to be coming up back to those chicanes that we saw on lap 1. White leading the way, Werner up there. They are driving the pace, and you can see that this is a fast pace as this group of 6 has already separated themselves from the rest of the field, and it looks like Werner and White are starting to inch their way just a little bit away from the rest of that group. And if you've been following North American cyclocross this season, you know that the two names who've been fighting it out week after week are Kerry Werner and Curtis White. They've gone into several weekends this year and split, where Werner will win one day, White will win the other. That happened at Go Cross. That happened at Charm City. They are just at it. It's a great duel that we've been seeing all year long, but they're not alone. We got Elwood there in 3rd place, Fix in 4th. Kaiser still hanging in there. Fortier, the mountain biker, representing Canada in that lead group. As they start to hit these chicanes, the slippy sections, again, where we're talking about those long, flowy sections on the far right hand of the course. On the far left, completely different story. This is dangerous. You can't make a mistake there. One slip and you're going to be falling several positions. Faster to run than it is to ride in a lot of these sections. We saw all of the riders out here earlier today. They're all testing out these lines, but it really didn't matter that much. I mean, it was good for them to get out on the course, but the conditions were changing hour by hour out here with the different weather condition changes. And here we are. This is the first set of stairs. We didn't see this last lap. This is the first one here as White leads the way up, and then they go behind this pavilion, and then we will hit the second step of stairs. Nothing really too tricky about these stairs, most would say. I mean, if you ask Stephen Hyde, he's probably going to have a different view of it right here on this second set. This is where his race ended last year, actually where his season ended. This is where he dislocated his ankle on that upward staircase as we move now towards the third one. Now we're on the third one. We can also see from up above, and we also get a good look here of that top section, and this is really where they want to be. You want to be first. There's going to be some passing going on that top ridge because this is where the drop comes. As we saw a lap below, this can be really tricky as they come. Everybody's taking that outside line and really trying to just cut that apex right at that last hay bale. But if you get it wrong, and again, as I said, we saw this a lot in the earlier races of the day and yesterday. Oh, you can see it right there. Lance Hayden really just getting squirrely on there, keeping it upright, but that's where it can be dangerous. We've seen Jamie Driscoll now coming through there again, lower half of the top 10 for Driscoll, as our leaders have 6 laps to go. And once again, it is Werner and White on the front of our race like they've done so many weekends before. Cincinnati, another race weekend that they split. Werner taking one day, White taking the other day. Werner's been looking really good when conditions are a little greasier, a little muddier like they are here. When it's more dry, more power section, that's when White seems to excel. But they're just keeping out of here. You can see White in that little area having a tripod, putting the leg out. That gave Werner the opportunity to go by. Werner now taking the lead as they hit the power section towards pit 1. Werner with about a 1 second lead over White. And look at the gap. Look at the gap those top two already have over Elwood and Fix and Kaiser and Fortier coming up in the rear of this race. A little farther behind, Michael Vandenham, your second Canadian out there, Canadian champ, and Lance Haydet trying to catch on with that group, as well as Max Chance and Jamie Driscoll there. Drew Dillman looks like he is the last one in that long spread out lead group. Coming by pit 1 now, no bike changes for our 2 leaders. Going by the Canadian flag as they hit this long power section into this uphill sort of swoopy section on the backside. Again, I'm not going to call it a boring section, but it's more of a less dramatic and less animated section of the course. It's almost like this is where everybody sort of gets to gather themselves, get it back together, and here we are once again. We are at the run-up, and it's Werner able to take the lead over White. They've got themselves a nice little lead, and it's Brandon Fix. Brandon Fix putting in the effort, coming up, trying to get on with those front 2. Elwood also right there. Grant Elwood, Cody Kaiser. 48 with a little slip. He's not used to running. He's a mountain biker. This is all different terrain for him. Vandenham coming up there as well. Haydet and Driscoll and Dillman leading this other group. And we're starting to get a couple more riders in here. Max Chance is right there. And there's your national champ, Stephen Hyde. As I said, a lot of issues we didn't see on camera, but he's trying to work his way back into the race, still in it. Our leaders now are on the sand into that little U-turn section and down the long stretch until they make the chicanes back onto the sand area. If you saw the Pan Am coverage last year, you know that this beach, one, was a lot bigger. We were able to go down the sand the whole way, which means it was a much harder effort, and it was dry, so you really had to churn through the sand. Here you can tell it just looks like it's almost a roadway there, just flying through it, as Werner is able to assert himself using the power sections, usually the strength of White. Werner's able to do it here as they come by pit 2, and we got both of our leaders coming in there, taking bikes. We got a great look at those bike changes, smooth, losing no time for the top 2 as they're able to maintain their lead as they head towards the trickier section of the course. Brandon Fix once again putting in this huge effort. He wants to get up there with those leaders. He's got something to prove. A podium for Fix would be huge, but even just hanging with those guys as long as he can would be a great effort for him on this day. First time in the elites for the new elite rider of Fix as our leaders come back through here. We're going to get back. This is it. This is this little transitional section. This is this very Euro section where they go through a playground. See that on a lot of the Belgian races. And now we are here to those chicanes. Again, having to dismount. It's faster to run than to ride through these sections. Even if they were doing it the day before, the changing conditions. And look at that. Brandon Fix right up in there. Grant Elwood making his way to that lead group as well. But Werner using some of those better technical skills, and I have to say, but using some tires that seem to be hooking up a little better than what White is running right now as they come back around these chicane areas. He's got it dialed. Everybody putting on long toe spikes for the day. There's really a lot of slipping and sliding. We saw in the earlier races where riders, there would be just pile-ups in these little chicanes, with your less skilled riders, where it was just one would stop and they'd all stop behind them. Here we go. We got different methods there. Oh no, both shouldering their bikes here. We have some who are just carrying it, but everybody in the lead seems to be shouldering their bike. Interesting techniques just watching these guys come up, who does what as far as carrying the bike. Actually all shouldering there. A lot of courses that we see these days, not many opportunities to shoulder the bike, so it's good we got these big staircases on there for them to do it. Coming down this drop one more time. Looks like our first 3 make it through without any issue. Fix again trying to get on with those front 2. Kaiser still holding on there. Oh, there it is. Grant Elwood, look at that, doing the pirouette, able to keep it upright, running into that hay bale that I've been talking about for those last couple laps, but Grant Elwood able to run in there, somehow do a 360, stay on his bike. Talk about dismount techniques you're going to have to be learning next year for cyclocross. Amazing move by Elwood, keeping it upright on the big drop. We'll see how much time that cost him, if anything, as they come back around here. A little trickier move right there for Werner. Looks like he got a little loose in turn 3 as they come off of the tarmac there. Oh, trying to make the pass there. White having to unclip also. They're really fighting it out here. We are not that far into this race, and we are already having a battle for first place between Werner and White, and that's sort of that jockeying back and forth. What that did was that allowed Fix with a steady rhythm behind to catch up with that group, and he is now there. Brandon Fix now into that top 3 as we are looking at the fight that's going on behind between Dizzle Dillman and Michael Vandenham, with Jamie Driscoll now. Lance Hayden drop back a couple more. Max Chance also hanging on the back of that group as we see the gaps between our leaders. I believe it looks like White, a little tough to say, but I think I'm going to say that is White now out there in first. Werner catching back up in second. They put in White when as he's able to just see daylight in front of him. He's able to put down those big watts, and I think that's hurt Fix a little bit as he's gapped a little from the front 2. It looks like Cody Kaiser now in 4th place, which means that Elwood, after that balletic move, now moving back into 5th place, as our riders once again into this more or actually less dramatic section of the course. All of these little easy swoops, single track coming through there. Everybody makes it through there cleanly, and here come our leaders on the run up one more time. White and Werner. This has been the 2019 storyline. White and Werner, and they once again together at the front. Fix still holding on there to 3rd as they come back around Werner. White now in 2nd, Fix in 3rd. Cody Kaiser holding on to 4th place. Kaiser has had a great season. He's been there all year long. We're coming back up to our off-camber chicanes one more time. This group of 4 now together as they're hitting this section. 3 of them make it into the chicanes. They're going to dismount right here. White leading the way. Good position for him to be in. Again, it looks like Werner's a little stronger on these technical sections, and White probably knows that. So that's why he wants to be out front when he gets to these sections. You make a mistake and you're out front, and everybody else has to stop too. You make a mistake and you're behind, and you're just losing time. So good tactical move by White to go into the trickiest sections in the lead. And it looks like this group is starting to get together. So we got a group of 4 now with White, Werner, Fix, and Kaiser. I believe this is Elwood coming into the picture. There he is one more time, trying to move back on there. Oh, and what is this? This is Stephen Hyde. This is your national champion for the USA in the course with a mechanical, testing out the bike. Not able to get back on there. Really doesn't look like he's in a hurry. And here it is. There it is. Stephen Hyde, bike on the other side of the tape, DNFing in this race. Anytime in Midland, Ontario is not a good time for Stephen Hyde, even though he won the race yesterday, won the C2 yesterday, thought he was on track for today. But as we saw there, bad luck. Oh, hey, look at that. Thank you very much. Look at that. He's got his crosshairs gloves. That's amazing. Good to see you out there. All right, here we go. Coming down this chute one more time. Oh, a foot out for Werner. He's able to save it. The other 2 in our lead group making it through there. Elwood, clean that time. Not doing a repeat of that pirouette move, making it through cleanly. And look at this. Jamie Driscoll, he's been doing this all year long. Slow starts, the diesel, and then just working his way up. 4 laps to go. And White and Werner once again have put in a bit of an effort and gotten a gap over Kaiser and over Fix and Elwood in 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Haven't even seen them on there. So this is the part where I think these 2 guys are only worried about each other, and it is just the prize fight match between these heavyweights. They are going at it. They are exchanging blows, and that's hurting everybody else in this race. White leading the way as they make their way down pit 1. Werner in 2nd. Coming back around, we skipped over the chicane, the right-hand side of the course, came back down to the beach, and here we go. White in the lead still. Werner there. The gap's a little bigger as we go with them through this sand section. It seems like the pace is high, but we've gotten back, at least in this section where the moves aren't there. You can really see it. It looks like that gap's starting to come down, like they would bring it out. They throw the haymakers, and then it comes back together. It looks like White, once again, trying to stretch it out here. We're going to see if either of our leaders take a bike as they make this right turn and head towards pit 2. Looks like both riders are staying on the bikes that they've had. They're going to take another lap on these bikes. Really, I think White's changed 2 bikes so far. Werner has changed 1 bike, and there you go. As we pan back around, we see Cody Kaiser now in 3rd place, and look, in 4th place is Jamie Driscoll. We saw him 3 laps ago. He was in 10th place. He's now moved all the way up into 4th place. The guy just gets stronger as the race goes on. It's going to be interesting to see if he can actually bridge the gap between the chase group and the leaders. Back up front, White leading the way, just like we saw last lap. Every time we come to these chicanes, every time we come to this dismount run section, White is on the front. I think that's by design. He wants to be there. Again, we talk about Werner's skills in these kind of conditions. White's seen it week after week. They have been complete equals. But if you want to go down for what the strengths are, you got to give White a little bit of an edge when it just comes to all-out power. You got to give Werner a little bit of an edge when it comes to technical skill in these greasy conditions. So, what do you do in those conditions? You always go in front if it's your weakness. That's exactly what we're seeing Curtis White do here as they are smoothly through the first half of our chicane section. We're going to look to see what our chase group is doing. It looks like that lead has gone out again. And I believe that is Jamie Driscoll, who's now moved his way into 3rd spot. He just keeps picking, and it is Driscoll now into 3rd spot. We got Cody Kaiser in 4th spot. We got Brandon Fix still hanging in there in 5th spot. Great ride for Fix. And Grant Elwood there in 6th position. Great ride for Elwood as well. As Vandenham is in 7th spot, making his way. I know this was a race he wanted. It's going to be a little disappointing to be that far back, but he still has a lot of time to get back in it. As we get to our staircase, we got White going up first. Werner in 2nd. This is the 2nd staircase. They got 1 more to do, and then they're going to do the drop. There he is, 3rd place. Jamie Driscoll looking good. Cody Kaiser also looking good in 4th position. A little more of a gap now back to Fix and Elwood in 5th and 6th place. And here we are at our drop. Let's see what they do coming through here. Curtis White through clean. Oh, Kerry Werner just sort of kicking out on that hay bale. He looks dangerous every time through there. Driscoll through cleanly. Oh, Kaiser with a little bit of an issue, had to dab, but he is fine. And there goes Curtis White just churning his way down there. This is going to be 3 laps to go. 3 laps to go in our Pan American Championship race, and you can see the gaps growing. The efforts put out in front are really starting to gap off these riders in that top 5 as Elwood tries to chase back on. He's now in front of Fix. Little bit of a lesson up there. You see Werner being able to move his way up there. This is the part where we've seen Werner wanting to get in front. And again, it goes to strengths. We're talking about White. We're talking about how his strength is the power. And this is the section that Werner wants to be in front to try to take that advantage away from White. We saw it a lap ago. He was able to do it successfully. This time, maybe just marking him. He's just going to stay on that wheel as long as he can. You can see right there White having to, I think, unclip both feet to sort of Flintstone through that corner. Get back clipped in and go. This is pit 1 that they're going to be going through. Jamie Driscoll, again, trying to bridge that gap. He wants to be up there with those leaders. Cody Kaiser in 4th place. And we got White getting onto the hoods and just starting to crush. This is the power section. We're heading back to that far right section of the course. Under 3 laps to go in our Pan Am Championship race. It is clearing out now. You know, it was almost some rain in the beginning of this race. We had snow a little bit before it started, but it started to clear out. Not as much precipitation as we continued to go. And Driscoll, we see Driscoll coming up there as well. And look at this. We're a little bit farther here. We're coming back to the sand section. Skipped ahead a little bit in our coverage, and Driscoll was able to make his way back to the leaders. He's only about a couple seconds off, and we are going to now have a lead group of 3. Again, this guy started in 10th spot. He was way back there, came through everybody, and now he is with the leaders. You saw Curtis White shaking his hand. It is really cold out there. I think a lot of these guys' hands are starting to numb up no matter what glove choices you make. Is really an issue that I think a lot of riders are having. Numb feet, numb hands, which really comes into play because it becomes harder to clip back into your pedals with your feet, and it becomes harder to shift and steer with your hands when there's done. We got Vandenham and Fix coming around the beach section. Past pit 2, we catch back up with our leaders, White and Werner, and Jamie Driscoll still there. You know that these guys know Driscoll. He's been around forever, and when they look back and they see that he's joined them, they're like, well, shoot, this changes everything. We had this 2-person race here at the front, Werner and White. Those guys know what to do with each other. The wild card in this group is Driscoll. You can see that he's just about there and then always just gets a little gapped up. He really wants to make that last effort. I mean, right now, Driscoll's just hoping that these guys take their foot off the pedal just for a second and let him close that gap. Looks like he's just about there. White, once again, as we've seen the last couple laps, is leading the way. So we got White and Werner and Driscoll. And again, you think that he's there, but it always seems like it's just that little bit of gap. Here we are in our drop once again. White through cleanly. Werner through cleanly. Oh, a little bit of a problem there for Driscoll. Driscoll kissing that hay bale coming down there. That is dangerous. That's a place where you really got to be safe. We already saw Elwood with his balletic move through there. Driscoll almost doing the same, but making it through smooth. Not smooth, making it through safe. And we are coming back around. I believe we're going to have 2 laps to go. 2 laps to go. And here it is. Here's the little sit-up. You can see Werner's pace is just really slowed down. He gives that look back. He wants to know what it is. You can actually see Curtis White there. Look at that. Look at he's doing almost the Pete Townsend, the windmill coming through, trying to loosen up those hands, trying to warm up his arms. It is so cold, and it really seems to be bothering White as he makes his way through the finishing stretch. And him just sort of shaking out the limbs, and Werner sitting up a little. That is all that Jamie Driscoll needed. Driscoll now back in here, having to dab a little bit around those corners. This is the greasiest sections. I know I've said it every lap, but you can just see, look at Curtis White, his back rear wheel just slipping out again, having to double unclip just to save it around these corners. It's really, really hard. Well, what happens through there, and what we're talking about, the guy that can take advantage of that, and while I was talking, who moved ahead, was Kerry Werner. So, through the power section, where he wants to be in the lead is Werner as we go to the back far right of our course. This, once again, is what we were talking about. These are these swoopy sections. This is the lead in right now that they are on to the run-up. So Werner, White, Driscoll, that's your race under 2 laps to go. Once again, here we are back at the beach. And we got our leaders. Werner leading the way. It looks like he's got almost a second over White now, and Driscoll just marking White. This may be dangerous for White. He can't let Werner get a lead. It's happened in the past where Werner's able to use those technical sections and get a little bit ahead. But if he's able to do it on the power sections, you know he's on a really good day. If he's able to gap off Curtis White in these big power sections, then Kerry Werner is putting in a special effort. And this is one he wants. You see Cody Kaiser right there raising the arm. That means he wants a bike. And look, White having to take a bike. And that allows Werner to get that gap we were just talking about in the power section. If Werner is able to get ahead, it is going to be a dangerous position for those chasers, especially Curtis White, who's now in 3rd place behind Driscoll. Werner knows what's up. He knows that they've fallen a little off the pace, and he's got to believe he's put in that little bit of extra effort to try to just lengthen out that lead and get as much of a gap as he can. It looks like Driscoll's having none of it. Driscoll is looking at his chances right now. He can smell that Pan Am Championship. You know, he had to burn a couple matches to get back in there, but now he is sitting in a great spot in 2nd spot. We got Werner coming through, looking like he's pushing through these sections a little bit harder. He knows this is it. He's got to drop Curtis White. One thing he does not want to do is to come into a sprint with Curtis White. He's done it several times this year. That's not to say he hasn't beaten him, but it's not something he wants to take a chance on. He wants to have the time in hand before the end of the race gets here. And it looks like he's really pushing through the pace through these areas a little harder off the bike. He's down low, crouched, getting more effort into this run section. He's got Jamie Driscoll in there that he's almost using as a buffer between himself and his biggest rival are out there, Curtis White. Here we go. We're to the drop again. One more time. Oh, Werner with a little problem with that. Driscoll, Supermaning over there. Holy cow. Off the bike, but right back up on it. Not staying down at all. Driscoll coming over the end of the bike, just straight off Superman and through his handlebars. We talked about that one section last lap, and look at this. He might have Superman, but this is a true superhero right here. Back on the bike, able to get right onto Curtis's wheel again. Driscoll drops from second to third. The problem is that with one lap to go, that allowed Kerry Werner to get a little bit of a gap, but it does not look like he is crushing it down this section. This may come back together. And there it is. You can see White putting in the much bigger effort than Werner on the finishing stretch of that. They are on their bell lap. One to go. Kerry Werner knows this is it. He wants to get this gap right now, and this is the place he can do it. This little greasy second. Oh, but he has trouble. So clean ride every other time through there, probably pushing it a little too hard as he came through these greasy chicanes. Had to put the foot down. That gave White the opportunity to get at least a second back and try to claw his way back onto Werner's wheel. And you can see him down there. You can see the effort being put in by White as they come by pit one. Werner's by, White's by, Driscoll now. He's got to be feeling that crash. He's got it so fast, but it's got to be sinking in now. And he's starting to fall off the pace a little bit more in third. Coming really wide there. There is Kerry Werner. There is Curtis White right on his wheel. They are going towards the run-up. He's got this gap. Is this going to be it? Is this going to be enough to take this win? We're coming to the end of our lap. We got about half a lap to go. Only a couple minutes in this Pan American race. And look at this. Curtis White has shut it down. We are on the beach, and it is all back together. You got team manager there, Stu Thorne, giving encouragement and instructions to Curtis White. But there's nothing that he can do. This is all up to White. If he wants to win this now, he has to continue to close that gap and get on to Werner. Kerry Werner is racing a great race right now. He's able to stay out front. He's able to maintain that lead. It was a bigger gap, but he's not panicking. Coming through here, no bike change for Werner. Nothing he can do now. He's on the bike. He's going to take it. Look at that. Curtis White being able to catch back up. No bike for change for him as well. Driscoll starting to drop off a little bit. And here was the part that we're talking about in the last couple laps. We noticed last lap, Kerry Werner able to lead through the tricky sections and really push it there. Every lap before that, Curtis White was in the lead there. He wanted to be in the lead because he wanted to control the pace. And this is the opportunity that he has to go now. If White is not able to get ahead now, this race may be over. Look at this, right up on his wheel. He's completely closed down any advantage. And right as we say it, here goes Curtis White. Looking to make that pass, and he does successfully. This was the place we were saying every lap before this, he wanted to be out ahead. And he does it one more time as we come to the last time through the trickiest section of this course. Through the chicanes. They're going to dismount here, run around these turns. We are within 3 minutes of the end of this race. We talk about the sprint before the sprint. This is going to be the feature before the finish. If you can make it through ahead here, you may be able to win this race. Curtis White did what he needed to do. He caught back up. He got in front on the trickiest section, and he is in the driver's seat right now to take home his second consecutive Pan American Championship jersey if he can hold on. But you know, Werner is going to do everything he can to get back ahead before we end. Right there, as we said it, he's making his move. He's trying to come around to the outside. He can't do it. White coming down there. White, actually, we don't see it. He's slipping down. Slips down there, and they're back up. Side by side, and Werner able to make the pass on the last possible chicane on this course. Werner comes around. They come towards the steps, and this is it. This is the end. The last final turns. Werner able to maintain that lead, able to get the gap, and he is looking over his shoulder, but he knows it. His first elite jersey he's going to take. This is a huge one for Kerry Werner. Kona Maxxis Shimano winning the 2019 Pan American Championship. Curtis White. Oh, the head on the handlebars, dejected. Second place. He thought he had it. One little bobble in the final turn in the trickiest section was all it took for Werner to take advantage and take the win. That is Jamie Driscoll. Amazing ride by Driscoll, staying on the podium. And here it is. Here are your top 11 in the 2019 Pan Ameircan Championships. What a race. Kerry Werner, your champion. That's it here from Midland, Ontario. I'm Bill Scheiken for CXHAIRS and the Wide Angle Podium. Check out the CX Heat Check that comes out every Thursday to see what impact this race has on the Volet Apparel CX Heat Check Power Rankings. We'll talk to you soon, cyclocross friends.